welcome or welcome back. If you're new or you're already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we're going to be making some super cute Valentine projects. So let's get started. I had a request to show how I made these roses that I added to this little picture frame. So let me show you how I made these. I love when I get requests because I love to know what y'all want to see. So if you have any requests, just let me know. I used coffee filters that I soaked in coffee to give them this brownish tan color. Then after they were all nice and dried, you just take your scissors and start cutting around the edge in a spiral pattern all the way to the center. And it doesn't have to be perfect all the way around, just cut. It'll be fine in the end. And then you'll end up with this. Now starting on the outside and just roll until you get all the way to the end. And then put it in your hand and shake it a bit and let it unwind just a little to give it more of a flower shape. Then turn it over and add a little bit of hot glue, and using the very end of your spiral, the circle that was left at the bottom, you can glue that to the bottom of your flower. Or you can cut it off the way I did and it wasn't working. Sometimes it'll just work perfectly and this one didn't. So I just went ahead and cut it off. And that way you can add a little bit of glue and then stick it back onto the end to hold it all together and just mess with it until it looks like a pretty flower. And you can let them unwind more for a larger flower like this one, or kind of keep it rolled tight to make a smaller size. And so now I'm going to make a whole bunch of these. Oh, also to make it go a lot faster, take multiple coffee filters and stack them and then cut them all together. And it makes it easier to cut. And then you'll just start rolling each one into a flower. For these roses, I'm using this leftover watered down pink paint from my previous project, and I decided to dip each coffee filter rose down into the watered down paint, and hopefully I have enough. And I tested it on one and I really liked how it looked. Stuck it into the watery paint and then tapped it onto a napkin just to remove some of the excess water so that they could dry just a little bit faster. And it looks like this. So then I just continued with all of my roses and then sitting them on this parchment paper to let them dry. And I did this right before I went to bed. So by the next morning, they were completely dry. After all of my coffee filter roses dried, I added them to this beaded wreath. Then I just bent the wire into a heart shape. And then I just used this soft velvet ribbon that I had left over from Christmas. And I tied a simple bow and attached it to the top. And I think it turned out super cute. And now for this project, I made roses using the same technique, but instead of using coffee filters, I used magazine pages and old book pages. I cut different size circles out of the books and the magazine pages and then spiraled them to make different size flowers. And so for these, I'm using this Valentine box that I saved from last year. And we're just going to use the bottom of the heart and add all of our paper flowers. And I did try using this glitter glue, which did not work. It was a mess. So I did end up using my hot glue gun. So I was originally going to use the glitter glue because I thought if it showed through, it would be really cute and sparkly on the bottom. But it didn't work and they were not staying glued. But I went ahead and just started using my hot glue. So after gluing all of my flowers down, I decided to cover the edge, this red edge of the box. And I had this ribbon that I picked up from Dollar Tree. So I just glued it around just to cover the red and give it a more finished look. Then I added silver beads to some of the flowers. So next I cut pieces of ribbon and yarn and tied them all together to make this very simple bow. I'm trying to use a lot of my supplies that I have had for a really long time, and I came across these little flowers that were with my scrapbook supplies and decided to add them to my bow. And then I hot glued it to the top, and here's how it turned out. For this project, I'm going to be using these fabric gift bags and this wood heart that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I thought these little bags were so cute. So to start, we're going to remove the string at the top. So now we're going to cut around our bags so that we have the front and the back separated. So now we're going to add Mod Podge to our heart and add our bag to the top. And I did buy 2 of these hearts. So while this one is drying, we have this one. And we're going to do the same thing and start by taking the string off the top. And now we're going to take the back side of our bag that we cut and we're going to glue it to this heart. And after that dried, I decided to paint the back side of the heart, which probably should have been done first, but that's okay. So I painted the back side and the edges. And did the same thing for the second heart. And now we're just going to cut around our hearts and cut the excess bag off. Okay, so now we're just going to add some embellishments. I'm using the piece that we just cut from our heart, and I decided to cut out 2 of the XOs and add it to this one. And then I just played around and tried to see what looked best. And then for this one, I thought it would look really cute with this ribbon that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And for the paper rose, I took cardstock, traced a circle, cut it in a spiral pattern starting on the outside and just going all the way towards the center. And with the paper, you will need to add a little bit of glue to hold it in place right at the beginning. You don't have to do this when you're making these flowers out of coffee filters, but for the paper, it'll unwind. So you'll need to add a little bit of glue at the beginning and then just continue rolling it all the way to the bottom and glue it to the circle piece at the end. And then I added red glitter glue to the top just to make it sparkly. I glued all of my pieces down on this heart. And then I took this tool and poked it through the hole so that we could hang them. And I couldn't get it to fit back through the hole, so I took a piece of wire and wrapped it around my twine so that I could pull it through. And then I decided to make my loop longer so I could add some beads. And then I thought this one needed something extra, so I rolled up some of my jute twine and just glued it together as I was wrapping it around. And then using some of the leftover material that we cut from around this heart, I just cut out a circle and glued my jute flower to it. And then I thought it still needed a little something extra, so I added another piece and I cut a bigger circle so that I could layer it, and then I glued that to the top of my heart. I used brown paint, added a little bit of water, and then went around the edges. And to finish it off, I added some of the red glitter glue to both of the XOs on this one. And then just 2 of the XOs on this one. And here's how it turned out. For this project, I cut out hearts from my shoebox. And for the first one, I'm going to use some leftover yarn and make a chain stitch. And then started gluing it to my heart. And then just started completely wrapping it in all different directions to make it really thick and full. And then you'll just keep wrapping, but on the ends, you will need to add a little bit of glue to hold it in place. I made another chain and then just added that to the heart. And here's how it turned out. For this one, I wrapped it around the bottom and then wrapped it around the top, and it made this pattern. And then I added a little bow to the top, and here's how this one turned out. And like I said earlier in the video, I'm trying to use supplies that I already have. So I dug through my yarn stash and found this and just wrapped it around this heart in all different directions until I liked how it looked. Glued it on the back, and here's how this one turned out. So for this heart, I tied two colors together, a white and a cream, and just added a little bit of glue on the back to hold it in place, and then just wrapped it. And as you make these, you'll get the hang of it to where you can wrap your yarn and it'll stay in place without sliding off. That way you don't have to use as much glue. But when you get to the bottom point and the very tops, you will need to add glue to hold it in place. And then I just add it randomly just to make sure it's secure. These are so easy to make and they turn out so cute. And you can just make them in all different colors. And here's how this one turned out. So for the last one, I had a little bit of this cream colored yarn left. So I went ahead and finished using that. And then I added a different kind of yarn onto the top of it. Here's how this one turned out, and here's how they look in my heart-shaped wood bowl on my coffee table. Super cute. For this project, we are going to be using this cardboard box, and we're going to cut out some hearts using an old Valentine chocolate box, this little red plastic heart that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And then on the small pieces, I just freehanded a heart and then cut them all out. I'm painting them with sandstone and white paint mixed together. And after it was dry, I added black tape to the edges. And now we're going to use these magazines and make these rolled paper straws. And we're going to use some tacky glue and add it all over our hearts. Then we're going to add our paper straws all the way down. We're going to press it down really good to make sure it's really good and stuck. And then after it dried, I just flipped it over and started cutting the edges off. And you can use it just like this, but I decided to paint it. I added some of my little flowers from my scrapbook stash, which I haven't scrapbooked in years, so I'm trying to use some of the stuff that I have laying around my craft room. And then I decided to add some sandstone around the edge and around the flowers. And if you're new and enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up. And I took this yarn and added it to the back so that we could hang it. I added more layers of paint, adding a darker brown around the edge and also adding that darker brown color onto the flowers. After layers and layers of paint, here's how it ended up. Let me know which one was your favorite. Happy Valentine's Day!